Hi everybody, and welcome back to Kevin's Upfront Opinion today. So, today what I thought to speak about is what not to do if you're looking to gain custody of your children. And what I'm going to do is look at my own personal story. Okay. And the reason I thought I'd do this, because I did a video earlier about why a lot of men don't get full custody of their children, or the main caregiver, when they go to court and everything. And whilst I was doing that video, I started crying. God, how depressing is that? You know, for a man to actually say that they cried whilst recording a video. And it's mainly because I started talking about my firstborn child, who I've never seen. And over probably the last 6 months, I've done a lot of videos about it. And my wife always has a go at me. And she does have a go at me about this. A lot of time I end up having to sleep in the kids' bedroom or in the garden, or on the sofa if I'm lucky, about why I don't tell the whole truth. Why I don't tell 100% truth. And the reality is like I always say to her, what have I got to gain? What have I got to gain by telling people the truth of what actually happened all those years ago? Because I say to her, there's nothing to gain. You haven't lived my life. You haven't lived my childhood. You know, you lived in a stable home. You had mum at home. Yes, your dad was in the services. Okay, but you had them two stable role models your entire life. I didn't. I had a mother who was a devious mother. Made sure me and my sister couldn't see my father. And it's like it's gone full circle where it's happened to me. Okay. And obviously, when it comes to my father, and I speak to my father now, I see my father. And the way I look at it is times are different. Times are different to when it happened to him. You know, I was born back in the 70s, late 70s. Okay, so when it happened to him, it was early 80s. So that's completely different kettle of fish to nowadays. Now, my daughter, which is Amy Whittier, was born in 2009. August 2009 to be exact. And I've never seen her. And the question you got to ask yourself is, why have I never seen her? Was I a bad person? Was I violent to her mother? No, to be honest, I actually loved her. Really did care about her. Okay. As a general rule, for the time we were together, and we were together for quite a while, I ain't got a bad word to say about her. Never say a bad word about her. She never did me any wrong. She helped me in my recovery after 2 large epileptic seizures, as well as my mother. Her family never did me any wrong at the time. After we split up, that's another story. But at the time, she never did me any wrong, so I'd never say anything physically bad about her for that time. So the question is, why did it go wrong? Because I've never suffered with alcohol abuse, drug abuse, gambling abuse, never been arrested or been in trouble with the police, never struck a woman. Now, what are the other reasons that you may not? You probably can come up with some others. Okay. So I've lived a pretty boring life. Okay. But a lot of people would say, especially for the industries I've worked in, if you consider I've worked in the sales industry virtually all my life, and anybody that works in sales, as a general rule, okay, especially the type of sales I've worked in, have a vice, whether it's gambling or addiction, some kind of addiction, what might be womanizing, which I was never guilty of that as well at the time. Okay, I've never even had an affair. I've always been faithful to every single one of my girlfriends, up to when I was with Sophie Whittier. So the question is, why did it go wrong? Now, this is the mistake a lot of men make, and I hear it all the time. You know, being an editor of a newspaper, okay, because I own a newspaper, which is Acne News, okay, hear this all the time. But men go in, maybe they'll have a sit down to try and iron out things, and they try and bulldoze. I did that. Now, problem was on the day that I actually sat down with her. I sat down with her in a pub stroke restaurant in West Quay is it West Quay? No, sorry, Gunwharf, West Quay, Southampton, in Gunwharf Quays in Portsmouth. In the afternoon, we went for a bite to eat, and it never went well. And we ended up having an argument, and I tried to push my agenda, and she basically went down the road saying, "Oh, you're not going to have any time with her. You're never going to see her. Blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff." Okay, so she got her high horse up. I got my high horse up, and I thought, is there any point in this? It's not going to achieve anything, and I just walked out. I thought, there's no point in this whatsoever. It's just going to end up in a full-blown argument, and we're probably going to get kicked out of the restaurant. So I left, and I never saw her after that. Probably for about 6 years, somewhere in that kind of region. Roughly about 6-7 years. I never saw her. Mainly because, obviously, after that happened, I found out when my daughter Amy was born by a post that her sister put on Facebook. Still remember it at the start. Around my mum's house. Sat at my mum's house. Didn't even know that she'd gone in to hospital. She was having an emergency cesarean section because it was low and she wasn't going to be able to give birth naturally. So I knew she was going to have a cesarean section. What I didn't know is when it was going to happen. So I remember being around my mum's house before work, because obviously I used to start work at 3 o'clock. I was just sat around her in one of our leather chairs, and I was just scrolling through Facebook, no real reason. And I see her sister put this post up. I can't remember her sister's name to this day. And she basically put, "I'm going up the hospital to see my new niece." And I thought, you fucking bitch. That's what I thought. And the reason I thought that, you didn't even have the decency to tell me. And I have to find out on Facebook. Of all the ways to find out. But you become a father for the first time, you find out on Facebook. Nobody had the decency to even contact me. So I sent my ex a message on Facebook. Probably not the best way, because you're going back to 2009 to ask if she was okay and everything. Never got a response. Still never had a response to that text message or Facebook message to this day. Phone up the hospital. Right, just drop it there, Jedediah. Go on, drop it. Good boy. And phone at the hospital. And the hospital say to me, well, sorry to tell you. Yep, they're okay, but you can't come to the hospital. And I said, what do you mean I can't come to the hospital? My girlfriend's just given birth to my child. What do you mean I can't come to the hospital? And she said to me, well, the thing is, you can't come to the hospital. So I said, you can't come. I said, I work at the hospital. I'm the treasurer for the League of Friends. So he said to me, you come to the hospital, you'll be arrested on the spot and escorted off the premises, and you'll be charged for trespassing. That's what I got told by the head of the maternity ward at Queen Alexandra Hospital. I remember that conversation still to this day. And I said, so you're telling me I'm going to be arrested? I said, okay. I said, so next time you ask for money, okay, and you want funds for whatever it is, whether it's a new bed or whatever you want, what do you think I'm going to do? Because now you're stopping me from seeing my child for no reason. Done nothing. And I said, I'm sorry to tell you that, and I hope you won't do that. And I said, yeah, you're right. I won't do that. And from that day to this day, I still don't know why I actually got banned from the hospital. And I said, fine, I won't come up to the hospital. Got 2 weeks off work for it because I didn't know how long she was going to be in hospital for. I appreciate most women are going to say, oh yeah, but you're not in hospital for 2 weeks if you had surgery to have your child. I've gone and forgotten the name of it. God, this is embarrassing. I've had 2 children that way, 2 other children. And I know that. Talking about what? Normally, what about 3-4 days, maybe 5 days if you're really unlucky. But I got 2 weeks off work. So obviously one of my friends who was ex-military, he found out about it. And he said to me, right, give her a month. Give her a month. Get out of hospital. Sort herself out. And then we'll see if we can do something. So I went to see my solicitor. Well, one of my solicitors, because I've had 2 solicitors over the years about this. And my solicitors in Southsea said, right, we'll try and track it down. We'll try and find out where she is. I said, okay. So I started paying for a solicitor in Southsea. They couldn't get anywhere. So my good friend, Dave Talek, who served in the military, he's in the infantry, originally a tank driver, served in the Second Gulf War, served in Basra, really good lad. And he said, right, give me a phone. Okay, it's not what you think. He wasn't going to phone her up or anything. So I said, okay. He said, right, I've gone and made a phone call. Expect a phone call. Right, okay. Well, I thought, right, I'm going to have our family on the phone. I'm going to get shit for this. And I didn't. So, go to work, a couple of hours later, get a phone call. Jeremy Kyle show. Oh, God. I'm now turning myself into a bloody chav. Got the Jeremy Kyle show. So I had one of their producers on the phone. I said, we believe you got a slight problem to do with your daughter. I said, yeah, that's right. Got a daughter, not seen her. Okay. mother's refusing to allow me to see her. And I said, okay, right. Is she on Facebook or anything like that? He said, yes, she's on Facebook. Okay, I said, right, give us her details. We'll get in contact with her. And then if you're happy enough, and she's happy enough, we'll bring you on the show. And we'll see if we can resolve this situation. I did this 6 separate times. Okay. And they got absolutely nowhere. She basically point blank refused to engage 6 times. There's 2 other ITV studios, ITV programs which tried to drag me on. Okay, every single time. So in total it was 8 times. She refused point blank to engage. Right, so that was over what? About a 3-year period. So by the time she went, my daughter Amy was due to go to nursery? I think it was nursery. She actually got in touch with me, and it was quite ironic because it was. I picked up a message from her. It was literally because me and my wife, my first wife, got married on the Friday. Gone on a honeymoon for the weekend. We only went up to London. And on the Monday, when I got home and I looked at the messages on my phone, I picked up a message from her. So that would have been about 2014. So no, she'd be about 5 then. 2013, 2014. It would have been. It's a bit ironic. 3-4 days after I get married, she suddenly decides she wants to message me. I thought, all right, let's see where this goes. Right, so we carried on for about 2 weeks, sending messages to each other, and I just kept on asking her, is there any way that I can see my daughter? So I had no idea where she was, didn't know where she was. I got sent a picture and everything. Don't actually know if it actually was her. Could have been any child in a school dress at the end of the day. And she would refuse to answer. And then she just stopped messaging me. So I thought, right. And my wife at the time said, look, you've got to go to a solicitor. You've got to go to another solicitor. So I went to my family solicitor, which is Eric Robinson and Co. in Southampton. I actually went to the Hedge End branch. I'd normally deal with the Southampton branch, but on this occasion, I got asked to go down to the Hedge End branch, which I did. And they said to me, right, this is your problem. You have no idea where she is. Your family believes she's in Wales. Because she's in Wales, this is going to cost you serious do-re-mi. Anybody don't understand serious cash? Okay. So the easiest solution is if we start writing to her and ask for her to engage. Okay, without going to court and petitioning. Okay, so we'll go and find out how much, where she lives, all that type of stuff. Because the solicitor said to me, the reality is, because she's in Wales, you're going to have to pay for me to go down to Wales to petition the court in Cardiff, because you know she's the other side of Cardiff. Okay, and she can ignore that 3 times. You're going to have to pay for me to go down there. You're going to have to pay for me to stay in a hotel overnight to go and petition the court. Okay, and after the 3rd time, court order gets issued and she gets dragged to court. If that happens. Okay, I said, all right, fine. Send a letter. What happens? She ignores the letters. Doesn't surprise me. Why would she pay a single bit of attention? So the solicitor says to me, this is going to cost you about £30,000. When you got to take into account, this is over 10 years ago. Serious money. And I said to my wife at the time, this is going to bankrupt me. You've only just got married. I can't do this. Can't do this to you. I fundamentally faced losing everything. I'm going to lose my business. So I said to her, and I know this is a horrible thing for me to say, is I've got to hope one day she comes knock on my door. Because there's no way Sophie's going to let me see her. No way. So, me and my first wife split up over it and everything. One of the main reasons we ended up separating, over my daughter. Because she knew how it was affecting me. And she went off with another guy. And good luck to her. And I hope she's happy. I don't believe she's with him anymore, but I hope she's happy anyway. So then I met my new wife, and she knew all about it, but we'd never speak about it. And she'd always say to me, "Do you want to go find her?" And I said, "Look, I can't do this to you. I've tried and I've tried and I've tried and I've tried everything. She doesn't want to know. She refuses point blank. The family would rather shoot me in the head than help me. You know, and we saw her on the high street a couple of times. She would point blank me, and I grew a lot of hate over it. Until one day I saw her, and I assume it's with her boyfriend. It might be just a male friend at the end of the day. And I got really angry. One of my neighbours saw me. She had to calm me down because I was so angry that she had come into my space. And I thought nothing of it. And then this year, sorry, it wasn't this year, last year, my second daughter came up to me and said, and this is the gut wrenching bit, you know, I love all of my kids. I even love Amy, even though I don't see her. And I know people are going to have a go at me about that and say, how can you love somebody you've never known? And my simple answer is she's my daughter at the end of the day. Whether I see her or not, she's still my daughter. I may not be a very good father to her because I'm not in her life and I've not done anything for her. But my daughter Jemima, she came up to me and said, "Daddy," that's the only time she's actually ever said the word daddy. Normally, "I hate you," or "Forrester scum." You know, she even wrote me a letter telling me that Forrester scum. I thought, you cheeky little. Because she's a lead supporter at the end of the day. Nobody's perfect, but she is a lead supporter. And she said to me, "Is there any way I can see my sister?" And I said, "What are you on about?" You see Jamie Lee all the time, my stepdaughter. Lovely girl she is, Jamie Lee. You know, got Jasmine, my daughter with Down syndrome. She lives with us. You see your sisters all the time. She said, "No, not that sister. My other sister." And I said, "What do you mean, your other sister?" Because I've never spoken to them about it. I didn't know because I didn't want to affect their lives by something they're not going to understand. And she said, "The daughter you had before Mummy." I thought, "Oh God, great." I thought, "How have you found out about that?" I don't know how she found out. My wife said, because she overheard a conversation me and her were having. And a conversation I don't even remember happening. And I thought, how do I explain to an 8-year-old child that she'll never see her? How do I explain to her that? How do I explain to her any part of that conversation that she won't be able to see her because of the mistakes I've made in my life? It's nothing that she's done. I understand from her point of view that she wants to see her sister. And I remember trying to explain to her, and she went away, and I thought about it for a few days. And I contacted another lawyer up in Fareham, and I made a few inquiries with people that I knew, and I found out that they were living in the local vicinity to where I live. Didn't even know. And the lawyer said to me, right, come down in a couple of weeks' time, we'll have a chat. I said, fine. I said, in the meantime, what I'll do, because I own a newspaper, I'll go and put a couple of articles about. I know I'm going to end up breaking the law. Hopefully you're not going to have to be defending me. And I'll go and put out some videos on YouTube, see if I can save you some work. So I put some videos out. I said, put a video out on YouTube, on this channel. I said, look, you've got 2 weeks, or a week, whatever. I said, look, get in contact with me. We don't need to do this through the courts or anything. I just want to see my daughter. That's it. You know, you've taken the mick for long enough. You know, I haven't done anything to anybody. All I want to do is I just want to see my daughter. That's it. About 3 days later, I get a phone call from my ex-girlfriend. So I found out about posts that you've put on your website, social media, and everything. Can you get them taken down? I said, look, you let me see my daughter, I'll get them all taken down. No problem. It's my website at the end of the day. Well, it's co-mine anyway. I'll get it taken down straight away. So I agreed to that. And she said, okay, that's fine. And we spoke for about 2 hours that evening. And she still wanted to blame it all on me. Okay, which is fair enough. She can go down that route as much as she likes to try and make herself feel better. And she said, right, Amy's about to go for her exams. Would you give her until her exams are over, and then we can arrange to sit down meet in the local area, me and my partner, you and Amy. I thought, great. I thought, fine, no problem. I'll give you 2 months. Okay, it'll probably be a live of misery for me, but I'll give you 2 months. Inside 3 days, I had a nervous breakdown because I knew I wasn't going to see her. I knew it wasn't going to happen. So, come the 6th of August, which was Amy's birthday, I'd left her alone for over 2 months. Contacted her, nothing. Left her alone. I thought, sod it. You've had over the time, a month longer than I said, and I sent her a message on her birthday. Bought her a birthday card. Knew she wasn't going to get a birthday card again that year, which I do every year anyway. Never got a response. Didn't actually believe the account was being run by her, because a lot of it didn't add up. And then eventually, I managed to sort myself out after having the nervous breakdown and just started making videos about basically what happened. Now, the reality is, I know, as much as I live in this fantasy world, which I am, I'm never going to see my daughter. Because my ex has had 16 years to put forward her own personal agenda. That's what she's done for 16 years. She's probably slated me, and I'm going to judge my ex on my own mother. Because I know what my mother did. She never said, if I look at my own mother, my mother never ever said a nice thing about my father. She made sure that we couldn't see my actual father. Never saw my father until I was 19 years of age when he managed to track me down. Was she right or wrong? That's a question I can't actually answer because I don't truly know what happened. Because my mother will say one thing and my father will say basically the opposite, but the same kind of story at the end of the day. So neither one of them's willing to tell the truth. You know, and the reality is, who gets affected? Never affected my mum. My mum got exactly what she wanted. She got all the kids permanently, and she didn't have to worry about my father. Because she made sure my father couldn't find us. Now, what did my ex Sophie Whittier do? Exactly the same. She did exactly the same. She damn well knows for the last 16 years I've wanted to see my daughter. But she's made sure I can never find her and I have no idea where she is. You know, for all I know, I'm not saying that she's done this. She could have turned to her and said, I'm dead. Or I'm in jail, I've been murdered somebody or something like that, or emigrated. She could have said anything. So from her point of view, why would she really come looking for me? You know, because everybody says to me, and this is what I get told all the time, especially by women. This is the classic one by women saying, every woman or every girl eventually wants to know who their father is. No, that may be true. Now, if I look at my sister, because obviously me and my sister, blood related, same mother and father. And this is the message I got from my sister last night. Okay, now I don't speak to my sister a great deal. And she said to me, and this was a Facebook message. Okay, you probably can't see it on there. Okay, she said to me, I'm sick of being lied to by men, family included. Now that was aimed specifically at me and my father. Okay, now I can say I've never lied to my sister in my life. You know, I care about my sister. You know, my sister means everything to me. You know, we did everything as kids. Okay, no matter how badly she treated me at times, I was always still there for her. Now, what Sophie hasn't taken into account is long term, not short term, but long term. What she's done over the last 16 years is how much it's going to affect her in the long term. And I'm not talking about the here and now. I'm talking about over the next 10 years, 20 years, or the next 30 years. Because if anybody went and spoke to my wife, I could get my wife to come in here, and she said this to me the other day. The biggest problem that I have is moving Sophia aside, okay, is how much my mother and father fucked me over. That's what she said to me the other day. I said, okay, all right, fine. We'll leave it there. But the reality is, I hate saying this, she is correct. And people that do this type of thing end up screwing the kids up for the rest of their lives. The roads that they go down aren't great. They don't tend to trust people. Women that don't tend to trust men. especially when it comes to daughters, they end up going towards addiction, all that type of stuff. Okay, they end up going down a dark road. If I look at me and my sister, me and my sister did exactly that. We were the classic examples of kids that suffered abuse as children. And that's my biggest fear for her. But I don't want her to turn into me because of what my mother did all those years ago. And the reality is, there's a fear that that could end up happening. Also, obviously, I want to see my daughter at the end of the day. It's been 16 years at the end of the day. Now, for what happened, I got rid of a lot of that anger. But do I have any respect for the mother? Not really. Am I going to do anything to her? Nah. She made her choices. She'll have to go up to the gates of St. Peter and level that with him. I won't have to, because I know I never did anything wrong. No, but the reality is, I could have done a lot more. I could have taken her to court. I could have bankrupted myself. I could have lost everything. The case of being able to see my daughter. And the reality is, I should have done that. But if I'd done that, I probably wouldn't be married to this day. I probably wouldn't have any of my children. And Amy wouldn't have any of her brothers or sisters that she's never been able to see. Now, door's open for her anytime she wants to. She was to phone up my wife. Okay, I'll contact her on Facebook or anything like that and want to see her brothers or sisters. I won't stop her. I'm happy for her to see her brothers or sisters, even if she don't want to speak to me. She wants to believe everything her mother and her family says. I understand that. I did exactly that at her age. But it doesn't mean she should be penalising her brothers and sisters. But at the end of the day, I've done nothing to her. And all they want to do is see her. So, the reality is, there's not a lot I can actually do anymore. She's 16 years of age at the end of the day. Last time I heard, she lived somewhere in the Fareham area. Don't actually know if she does. And the ball's in her court. Now, what I would say to anybody is, don't make the mistakes I made, because you will live with it every single day of your life. You will punish yourself and you will hate yourself every single day. And some people may say, but I deserve it. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But it's like when I was doing a video earlier to do with people going to court, and I start crying, and that's the problem. But I can't face up to the mistakes that I made, and I don't want to, even though that I know I have to. So let us know in the comments down below. And if you're a friend of Amy's, all I'd ask is just get in contact. And if she wants to see her brothers and sisters, she's welcome to. If she doesn't want to see me, speak to me. Well, I have to say that's fine. Personally wouldn't like it, but I'll have to face up to that at the end of the day. And that's life. The only thing is, what I don't want to happen, which is what happened to my grandfather at the end of the day. Oh God, my grandfather. Well, he had a love child during the Second World War, and they never came looking for him until after he passed away. Now, bright side on that, my mother and uncle got to see their sister, even though she lives the other side of the world now. So that's the bright side out there. Time is precious at the end of the day. So let us know what you think in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll speak to you again a bit later.